And here we go. It was Tech Week in Chicago, and you have some interesting updates.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tech Chicago Week came to our side of town here in Chicago, and UX Bright and our
Oh,
team went out to quite a few of those events. So we had a blast and really ran across some interesting insights as we were interacting with folks. And, the big topic really is for a lot of enterprises is digital transformation. This was kind of a big center point for Tech Chicago, and like, how do you bring a business up to speed on to the 21st century, basically, right? We're in
and how
2025.
many of them are really to the 21st century when it comes to business?
Right.
Individuals, I think, are a farther ahead than businesses. Wouldn't you agree in tech?
Absolutely. When you got groups of people's enterprises, we found that really a lot of politics and red tape sort of prevents a lot of these pockets of innovations from being adopted in these organizations. So uh, that's where the big focus was, how can these organizations move forward in a positive way and doing it in a manner that transforms their businesses for the better. So I had the pleasure of going to a couple of different happy hours, different events, and interact with some great tech founders and even other industry leaders, and understanding how are they running their own digital transformation processes. And the biggest thing that happens, what I found is, first thing that happens for most folks, they got to get buy-in, right? At the executive level, really uh, making sure that the people that are making almost the major decisions understand we're stuck in the past, right? And we gotta move our organization, the way we're operating, in a whole another sense. So I think that's where the first challenge comes to a lot of teams is, hey, we know on the ground level as workers and managers, we know we need this, but we got to convince that, heads up that this is worth the investment, and you know um it's going to have measurable ROI, right, at the end of the day, which we've seen now, right? Once you've implemented AI solutions or automation solutions, that ultimately improves your workflow efficiencies, and then maybe your business used to be completely manual. If you switch to a digital first sort of mantra, that could help eliminate, some workflows and free up your time, right, to do the most important things.
So
Uh,
you're seeing that, but how many businesses are implementing it? Not a ton.
yeah, not a ton, right? There's yeah, the biggest obstacle after sort of the politics, right, of it is actually the budget. Is how do we sort of afford to make these sort of massive changes across the board? And what I've been finding interesting now is that government is starting to provide certain R&D credits. So if you are renovating sort of a system, you could actually, use that project as a potential write-off, right, and get you some tax loss harvested off.
Really?
Yeah.
So when
So
is that happening? So the government's working in a certain way in that way. Without making that comment, I thought the government was slow down. This one's working. This R&D deal you've just found.
yeah, I'll have to get the specifics so that way you can add it to maybe the description of the show. But yeah, there are initiatives that are happening right now, especially in the government, to overhaul things. One potential shout out that I'll say, especially state governments. I actually had the pleasure of running into Illinois Secretary of State at a fireside chat late last year, and as a state, they're tackling digital transformation at a big level. Before it was very much, we'll go by the status quo. We'll just rely on these old systems that we had kind of pieced together and hope that those pieces of duct tape held up, right? But as soon as our new Secretary of State, we went from Jesse White to his name's Alexi Gianalis. He basically came through and said, "Hey, want entirely new IT infrastructure and backend, and now you don't have to go to the DMV and wait a million hours just to get an ID. There's actually IED machines, the vending
Oh,
machines that we have across in Illinois now, which is pretty cool. So digital transformation is not just happening from even our private sector. Even government agencies are finding ways to use that to their ends. So uh, we're actively working here at UX Bright to work with businesses, SMB or enterprise, on what are those projects that we can do to ultimately streamline either your customer experience, operations, or otherwise, right?
that's
Uh,
crazy. Yeah.
Automation, digital transformation. So it's a very exciting.
It's exciting what's happening, but that tax credit will be interesting, or tax ability to write. So what that means and what does that tax credit mean? Important thing for businesses to look at, uh,
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
the other thing, I know you probably into a little bit of crypto, right? We just had the new crypto bill that was just passed that also enables expansion for some of those newer financial systems. So we're seeing a lot of uh, technical legislation that's getting passed that ultimately should favor transforming your business for the better.
What do you
Um,
think is the biggest first thing that if they say I really got to have a tech overhaul? What does a business need to do?
Um, well, definitely connect with a tech provider like us first to really give you a full audit and assessment. Um, but if you already have, let's say, a CTO on your team, right? I think it's important you sit down with larger management. You all guys sit together in one team. And yeah, you guys do kind of a full up and down audit of what's working in your business and what isn't. And once you kind of figure out what's on paper there and how do you want to transform it, uh, then you can take some active measurement steps to figure out what's the most priority, right? So for some organizations, it's hey, we want to scale really quickly, so we really gotta get our operations, streamlined to handle, a lot of things, right? So for Amazon, that was how do we handle hundreds of thousands of packages almost per second, right? Getting down to that level of operational efficiency. But other times it might just be, hey, we've got an old customer experience and old way of working with things, and it's just not working for us anymore. If you're at that breaking point, I think digital transformation is a great way to start changing things in a way that you never realized before. So, um, yeah, those are some great starting points. Figure out where you at, audit with the team, make sure you get buy-in with the team at the top and bottom. Really, that's important too. No point in doing digital transformation if people at the bottom not going to use it anyway either. So,
Right.
uh,
Getting that buy-in, then going through, having them take a look at the things and see what they need to develop. And the automations are important, right? Especially that you need to put those things together for your business.
yeah, right. Because and by going through and doing that audit, you'll realize, okay, some things that you maybe already got figured out and don't need to audit, and you can save money that way. You don't need to fully digitize every part of your businesses. Maybe it's just a few core components of the business that you need automated, right? So it doesn't, I think the misconception is, yeah, it's going to be expensive, but I think once you actually sit down and figure out what your main core bottlenecks in your business are that prevent you from growing, once you know what those are, I think it'd be a little bit easier to contain what your budget's going to end up being.
All right. Best place people can go.
Go check us out at uxbright.com and check us out on LinkedIn as well as Spotify for more podcasts.